Good evening. My name is Marjie Sokoll, and I'm the founder and director of the Betty Ann Greenbaum Miller Center for Jewish Healing at Jewish Family and Children's Service. The High Holy Day season begins this Friday evening when we are reminded that remembrance is part of the Jewish experience. JF&CS is dedicated to offering a Jewish response, remembering those who have died by suicide and supporting those who live with the loss of their loved one. We welcome you all to this special Yizkor moment. You are among the 98 people who registered to be part of this communal gathering. Our gathering tonight will be led by Rabbi Suzanne Offit, who brings many years of experience as a community rabbi and palliative care chaplain in the hospital setting. Rabbi Suzanne and I facilitate the JF&CS Suicide Loss Survivor Support Group, and we too have personal lived experience. Please take care of yourselves. If you are feeling any emotional distress, please know that you can reach out for support to the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988. In the coming week, we will share resources, which will include a recording of this evening, the PowerPoint, and my contact information.
Wow.
We offer our appreciation to Hebrew College for co-sponsoring this Yizkor moment. And we are deeply grateful to Jared Schwartz and Amy Kaplan, who will be sharing their personal stories with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjie, and welcome everyone. Yizkor, remembrance, we remember. Remembering is integral to the Jewish tradition and practice. So many of our prayers and our rituals remember the past as a way of teaching us, reminding us, and bringing forth meaning into our present. Shabbat and creation, Passover and the Exodus. The Yizkor service provides us with a communal space to remember our loved ones, to help us bring them into our present. Rosh Hashanah begins this Friday evening, and the Yizkor service is held during Yom Kippur the following week. As we recite the Yizkor prayers, our minds and hearts go to our very deeply personal places, and then we look up and we see that we are in community. Others share the pain of love and loss, just like us. We are not alone. And this is where our Yizkor moment today diverges from the traditional. In this Yizkor moment, together, we share a unique and tragic experience with the unique and tragic loss of suicide. That is why we are here together. A Yizkor moment for those with suicide loss. You are not alone. We share the similar storms of emotions, sadness, anger, regret, disbelief, pain, despair, resentment, loneliness, perhaps betrayal and confusion, to name a few. But in recalling the two people in my life who I lost to suicide, I also have many joyous and loving memories. In remembering my loved ones who died by suicide, I want to remember more how they lived than how they died. In our shared moment of remembering, we might try to remember the moments of beauty and blessing of this lost life, as well as the struggles and sadness. Can we focus on the way they lived and not only on the way they died? I know this can be so hard. I want to recognize and affirm the challenges of our liturgy on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Many of the words of these sacred days are about life and death, that life is a reward and death is a punishment. This is dissonant to our ears and to our hearts. This is not the life we live. This is not the experience of our days. This is not the truth we know, nor the truth we seek. This is challenging at best and harmful at worst. The suicide death of a parent, a sibling, a spouse, a child, any relative, a friend, this death is not a punishment. The early and tragic and painful loss was not due to a lack of your doing or from a lack of their doing. In most cases, someone dies by suicide because they are ill. Death is not a punishment. Many who die by suicide die from a treatment-resistant disease. Not all illnesses are curable. We love, we lose, we mourn, we remember. Welcome, Jared.
Thank you. Before I begin my remarks, I want to take a moment to thank Suzanne and Marjie for organizing this program. Although we find ourselves here through a common thread that nobody should bear, I'm personally thankful to have a space like this for support and to share memories of our loved ones who left us too soon. I am here tonight to speak about my brother, Zach. Although Zach was my younger brother, in many ways, I looked up to him like an older brother. Zach was fiercely independent, the type of person who always wanted to chart his own path. He was driven, compassionate towards others, and at least for me, a role model for how to achieve personal goals while remaining true to yourself. Zach seemed to excel at everything he did, from academics to athletics, from his business acumen to his volunteer work. He could, seemingly, do it all. In his free time, he coached soccer for the Special Olympics. He gave his time to CJP, and he served on various boards. He didn't do any of these things for himself. He did them because he understood and wanted to show others what it meant to give back to his community. Like all siblings, we certainly had our ups and downs. However, we always knew that each of us would be there for the other at the drop of a hat. Our bond was unbreakable. We experienced personal family hardships together, faced adversity together, laughed together, and cried together. But it was always, until a few years ago, together. In August of 2020, I lost my brother, my rock, to suicide. And in a flash, that togetherness was gone forever. Like some in this room may feel, I never thought his life would end this way. In the initial months following his passing, I felt rudderless. Many evenings I would stay awake, hoping that somewhere he was still out there, walking his dogs, taking in a Celtics game, or working on his business. He is still the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning, and the last thing I think about before I fall asleep. We not only feel his absence during holidays, birthdays, graduations, and other milestones, but also in those simple interactions that we have as a family on a day-to-day basis. One of my closest friends once asked me what I miss most about Zach. Yes, there are the silly car rides, singing together, the trips to various events, and the jokes he would tell that made even the hardest of my days better. Most of all, however, I miss knowing that his essence, his being, is still with us and doing good in this world. As the years have gone on after his passing, I've taken greater comfort in continuing this legacy. The anniversary of his passing has transformed from a day of sadness to a celebration of his life. Taking my kids to Zach and mine's favorite pizza shop in our hometown, getting ice cream at his favorite spot, and exchanging stories about Zach with my friends from Camp Bowercrest. My brother, my baby brother, is forever frozen in time, forever 26 years old. I am left wondering what life would be like if he were still here. I look at my children, think about the memories that they can never make with him, the cousins they will never have, and the uncle who left them before he should have. It's hard not to focus on all of the things he won't experience and see. He and I will never grow old together, which perhaps is the hardest reality of them all. I'd like to share a poem with you. You don't just lose someone once. You lose them over and over, sometimes in the same day when the loss, momentarily forgotten, creeps up and attacks you from behind. Fresh waves of grief as the realization hits home, they are gone. You don't just lose someone once. You lose them every time you open your eyes to a new dawn, and as you awaken, so does your memory. So does the jolting bolt of lightning that rips into your heart. They are gone. Again. Losing someone is a journey, not a one-off. There is no end to the loss. There is only a learned skill on how to stay afloat when it washes over. Be kind to those who are sailing the stormy sea. They have a journey ahead of them and a daily shock to the system each time they realize they are gone. Again. You don't just lose someone once. You lose them every day for a lifetime.
Good. It was good.
Thank you. Thank you, Jared. As we move into the prayers of remembrance, we will share a moment of silence. This silence is an opportunity to read the Yizkor prayers provided, an opportunity for reflection, and an opportunity to share the names in the chat to Marjie, names of your loved one who died by suicide. For some, this is a concrete way of uplifting the name of remembrance. And I invite you to use only the first name if you like, and your relationship to that person. And Marjie will be reading the names.
Yizkor after a suicide. Oh, grief, how deep was their pain that my loved one could take their own life. God of old, grant a perfect rest under your tabernacle of peace to my loved one, whose life was cut off by sorrow, by hopelessness, depression, and despair in a moment of inconceivable horror. Even in this darkness, even in this grief and void that seems beyond repair, help us to remember their wisdom, talents, and skills, our times together, our joy, laughter, and tears. Give me respite from this profound sense of guilt. In this hour of desolation, bring our family comfort and consolation as we pray for our loved ones to find a new peace in the world to come, a peace they did not enjoy in this world. May their soul be bound up in the bond of life, a living blessing in our midst.
Thank you, Marjie.
These are the names that we remember. Daniel, my son, Jane Goodman, my beloved cousin, Isaiah, our son, Stefan, my brother, Joseph, Danny, my friend, Kristen, my cousin, David Kaplan, Jonathan, our son, my father, Irving, Lawrence Fields, my father, Stephanie, from her mom, Jody, Stephen, or Stephen, our brother and brother-in-law, Maynard Irwin Schwartz, Lila, my daughter, Keishia, Noah, and Maya, Zachary, my son, brother, and a friend, Stephen, my husband, Tish, she was my girlfriend, my sweet son, Evan, Michael, my sister, Arlene, Lydia and John, Noah, my son, David, my father-in-law, Zach Schwartz, devoted friend to so many, Erwin, my father, David, our grandfather, Susan Mass, my twin sister, Bohan Rip, my husband, David, Karen, my brother, my sister Lori, Uncle Charles, Maddie, Daniel, our son, Gavin, Etta, my mother, Stephen, my husband, Lila, my niece, Susan, my sister, Andy, a friend and student, and Chava, my grandmother. May all the names I have just said aloud, may all those names be forever a source of blessing to all of you.
The Amalei Rachamim is the public prayer of remembrance. As I chant in Hebrew, an interpretive translation is before you on the screen. Amalei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamitzei Minucha, Nechona Tachat Kanfei, Hashlina B'Ma'alot Kadoshim, Uteharim Kazohar, Harakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat, Kol Eila Shehalach La'olamo, Began Eden Tehei Menuchato, Ana Ba'al Harachamim Hastirehu, Beseter Kanafecha La'olamim, Utror Bitror Hachaim Et Nishmato, Adonai Hu Nachalato, V'yanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkavo, V'nomar Amen. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Suzanne. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. It is reassuring to see and feel your presence in a forum where we talk about suicide. By the openness, we take it out of the closet of shame where it does not belong. My name is Amy Kaplan. I am a member of the Suicide Loss Survivor Group facilitated by Rabbi Suzanne and Marjie Sokoll. I am a member because my beautiful, beloved father, David Kaplan, took his life on a dark day in December in 2015. As I always say, he was the happiest man. If I had listed the people least likely to take their lives, he would have been number one on my list. Zero history of mental illness, successful and satisfied in every way that we value from the outside, and nothing but a joie de vivre, or so it appeared. Along with my 4 siblings, his adoring children, and my mother, his wife of 65 years, we could no longer find the ground to walk on, the right air to breathe, or words to speak. We were hollowed out and lost in the way that you think you will never find yourself again. It is in the losing of yourself, combined with shattering of your soul, that defines the grief journey. In the early days, weeks, months, and even years, you struggle to find your way home. I joined a survivor group soon after. It was because of that group of people who walked the same walk that I could begin to take the steps on that journey home. The path and the hope was lit by people who showed up every week as the survivor veterans. They were those farther along in the journey who were living proof to the newly broken that we too would get there. Marjie asked me to join the Jewish survivors group. It was then almost 6 years since my dad's suicide, and I was not looking for a group, but said yes because I love Marjie. I joined as a participant and immediately realized that I was there to be the lighthouse of hope to others. That was the extraordinary gift that others had bestowed upon me. I have since become a volunteer for JF&CS, and it is my deep honor to be present. I bear witness to the life-giving power of this group. I see transformations over time from utter brokenness to people finding their way back to their lives and learning to carry their loss without drowning. I have learned the magical powers of groups to be a life raft to those who share something so uniquely terrible that only they can speak the language of hope that you will rise from the ashes of your despair. My gratitude to JF&CS for supporting this group and for the lives you made better because of that commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Mourner's Kaddish is probably the most recognizable prayer in the Jewish ritual for remembering the dead. The prayer has nothing to do with death or loss or mourning. Actually, it's an affirmation of faith. However, it's not necessarily the words that has given it power for generations and so many centuries. The Mourner's Kaddish is a communal prayer with a call and response, reminding us of the meaning and comfort of being surrounded by kindness and care of community. It's the haunting rhythm of the recitation that we have heard over and over and over that gives it both the power and the comfort. Jared will lead us in the Mourner's Kaddish.
Yitgadal, V'yitgadash, Shemei Rabbi, V'yamad Yivrach Irutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayechon V'yom Echon V'chaye D'chol Beit Yisrael, V'agalav V'zman Kariv, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam U'Me'el Mayim. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yipa'ar, V'yitroman, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitalal, Shmei Kudisha, Brechu. La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'yalma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen.
Thank you, Jared. Marjie?
We will now transition from loss and remembering into healing and wholeness. In a moment, I will be reciting a poem titled The Season of Healing. In our tradition, the Hebrew word for wholeness is shlemut. It has the same root as the word shalom, which means peace or wholeness. The Hasidic rabbi, the Kotzker Rebbe, said, "There is nothing so whole as a broken heart." Brokenness and wholeness live together in us. This is the season of healing our hearts and minds, of healing the moments we share with each other, and the moments we share with ourselves. This is the season of memory, of remembering our loved ones, the love of generations, the holiness of our ancestors. This is the season of stillness, the season of silence and quiet, of deep breath, of open eyes, of compassion and consolation. This is the season of healing, the season of grief, turning to wonder, of loss, turning to hope, the season that binds this year to the next, the season that frees this year from the next, the season that heralds the redemption of spirit and our return to our sacred world. So I want to thank you all for joining us. From all of us here at JF&CS, may the new year bring you moments of comfort and strength. And I would now like to invite Amy Kaplan to bring our time together to a close by reading a poem that we recite at the conclusion of our bi-weekly suicide loss survivor support group. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. We remember them. At the rising of the sun and at its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of buds and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. For as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us, and we remember them.
Thank you for joining us.